An analysis of formalist cinematography and related visual elements in Black Swan and the Neon Demon. In this video essay, I will be analyzing cinematography, its main components, and how they enhance the narrative in narrative formalist cinema. As a case study, I will be using Darren Aronofsky's 2010 film Black Swan and Nicholas Winding Refn's 2016 film The Neon Demon. I also will be then using the commentary to contextualize and elaborate on my observations and research. Cinematography is a predominant component in storytelling. Cinematographer Blaine Brown argues that an image should convey meaning, mode, tone, atmosphere, and subtext on its own, without regard to voiceover, dialogue, audio, or other explanation. And we can see this encouraging a deeper understanding of the story, characters, and their emotions. Author Kurt Lancaster unravels the 10 conceptual tools of composition and explains how composition is an essential element in visual storytelling to not only visually enhance the story, but to also invite additional meaning to scenes that might intrigue the audience's imagination. The conceptual tools that I will be focusing on are the camera shots, angles, camera motion, lighting, and color. Lancaster describes in his book the function and importance of color and light and how it shapes our feelings towards the story and the characters. He notes, the use of color and the intensity of colors reveals and reinforces emotions or subdues them based on the levels of saturation. Black Swan and the Neon Demon have very different color palettes. Black Swan has more of a monochrome palette dominated by black, white, light pink, and green, whereas the Neon Demon has a very neon and vibrant colored palette dominated by blue, red, yellow, and violet. The first palette that is heavily used in both films to describe both Nina's persona in Black Swan and Jesse's in the Neon Demon are the colors white and light pink. Color theorists note that white is a color of innocence, purity, and virginity, and pink is a color of femininity, weakness, sweetness, and immaturity. The use of these colors really highlights Nina's and Jesse's innocence and pure souls early in each film's narrative. For example, let us look at these two sequences from Black Swan and the Neon Demon.
Maestro, audio scoda, please. Now show me your Black Swan, Nina. Not so controlled. Seduces. Not just the prince, but the court, the audience, the entire world. Come on. The fouettiere like a spider spinning a web. Attack it! Attack it! Come on!
In both clips, we can notice how much they stand out compared to the rest of the people. Whilst they are both dressed in white, the rest are dressed in black, symbolizing elegance and power, but also suggesting the presence of death, an important aspect of the plot of both films. As each movie progresses, the colors change into darker blues, reds, yellows, and purples, symbolizing the character's evolution. Although the colors of each film are not quite the same, and of a different intensity, the aim is the same, to symbolize the death of their old selves and embracement of their darkness. As for the neon-colored lighting at the party, we can spot the colors blue and purple mixed in the room. The constant strong neon lighting adds a sense of discomfort and unease in every scene. Blue is known to be associated with calm, serenity, stability, as passive cool colors thought to recede from the eye more spatially and are generally quieter than aggressive colors. However, blue is also used throughout the film as a symbol of the story of Narcissus, to represent the narcissism of the models, and more importantly, the birth of Jesse's narcissism. Purple is subtly used to not only foreshadow the death of Jesse's purity, but also her actual death towards the end of the film. Even though Black Swan is less overt than the Neon Demon on color, the use of green and red can be identified quite heavily throughout. In the scene where Nina goes to a club with fellow dancer Odile, there is a mix of neon red and green, reflecting emotions the characters are feeling. green known to be the color of greed, envy, and jealousy, and red the color of passion, death, and danger. This scene is filmed as a metaphor for the death of the old innocent Nina and the moment where she starts transitioning into the Black Swan. A lot of green elements are displayed in Nina's house, especially when her mom is in frame. This is done to showcase the envy she feels towards her own daughter for failing to become a successful dancer like her. In this scene, we can observe how the color surrounds her. The camera angle in relationship to the subject also determines the psychological nature of a scene. Just like colors, different angles and shots may subconsciously add a deeper understanding into the characters. In Black Swan, there are many distinct types that Aronofsky used to enhance the narrative on screen. However, his cinematographer Matthew Libatique's use of medium eye-level handheld shots remain most prominent. For example, in the scene of Nina heading home after failing her audition, we're clearly able to see the distress that Nina is in, and when put in a stressful state. The shakiness of the camera as she walks through the tunnel adds to the feeling of Nina being stalked, which is how she feels throughout this entire film. During Nina's transformation throughout the film, close-up shots are used to show us her unsettling metamorphosis into the Black Swan, her darker side. For instance, this sequence where Nina begins to embrace her dark side. This scene symbolizes the loss of Nina's innocence and purity. The white straps from her outfits symbolizing her innocence and virginity, and the black feathers her dark side. Libatique's and Aronofsky's subjectivity portrays Nina's raw feelings and put the audience in the same overwhelming position. These close-up shots are also used to show us Jesse's transformation. During this runway sequence, we watch Jessie fully embrace her beauty whilst being surrounded by the film's triangle motif, and just like in Black Swan, mirrors as well. The close-up shots with triangles in frame are used to symbolize her transition into a state of narcissism, as she is now fully aware of her beauty and fully embracing it. Compared to Black Swan, the Neon Demon's shots are mostly static with medium close-ups and slow-motion shots. However, we can identify a few dynamic shots where the camera pans. Cinematographer Natasha Breyer creates an unsettling and suspenseful ambience with long static shots. If we look back at the runway scene, this shot shows us Jessie's entire transformation, where she stares and kisses her reflection in slow motion. Slow motion is another frequent technique found in this film. Compared to Black Swan, the movement is slow rather than shaky or fast-paced. This technique is used to add a dramatic effect to the scene. For example, the scene after Jessie's death where Ruby, Gigi, and Sarah are bathing in her blood. This is a perfect example of a prolonged slow-motion sequence that is used with the purpose of elongating the discomfort that the audience feels when watching the film. In conclusion, these two formless films focus more on the aesthetic side of things rather than focusing on storytelling through narrative. Black Swan and the Neon Demon, in different aesthetic ways, tell the story of the characters, help us understand their emotions, and feel the story in a deeper level rather than on just a surface level. Colors, lighting, and angles evoke different emotions. We experience different emotions throughout both films due to the consistent use of certain colors, camera shots, and motion. Both films use different colors from opposite sides of the palettes and different shots, yet still manage to convey the emotions of unease and distress due to the very careful use of cinematography and its incorporation into each film.